Today's video is all about an up-and-coming DeFi ecosystem known as Kujira. Kujira is its own blockchain and is aiming to build a layer 1 that's driven by real revenue-generating, profitable on-chain businesses rather than by token incentives like most DeFi ecosystems. In today's video, I'm going to talk about what Kujira is because there's a lot of unique applications in this ecosystem. I'll talk about how to get started in Kujira. I'll talk about which applications you can use on Kujira right now, the recent price action and tokenomics of Kujira's KUJI token, and then finally I'll go through some opportunities as well as risks for this blockchain. Welcome back to Dynamo DeFi. My name is Patrick. As a reminder, this video is solely for educational purposes and it's definitely not financial advice. Anything in crypto is risky, so make sure you do your own research before investing. Now, let's get into the video. To start, what exactly is Kujira? Because it has a pretty interesting origin story, and honestly, some of the struggles that this Kujira team went through are part of the reason why I find the project so interesting. So Kujira actually started out as an application on the Terra network. And if you are new to crypto or you don't know the history of the Terra network, basically that was one of the largest blockchains, and then over a year ago in May of 2022, it completely collapsed and pretty much every token on the network went to zero. And one thing that many of you may not know is I actually have made a video about Kujira on this channel before, back when it first launched on Terra a year and a half ago. But a lot of changes have happened since then. So Terra collapsed, everything went to zero, and the Kujira team had to rapidly reinvent themselves as their own layer 1 blockchain in the Cosmos ecosystem. And what's interesting about being in the Cosmos ecosystem is that different blockchains that are built on Cosmos, like the Cosmos Hub with their Atom token, like Osmosis with the Osmo token, like the Akash network with AKT, they're all interoperable with something known as the IBC, which means that tokens can easily be transferred seamlessly across different Cosmos ecosystem networks. So what that allows Kujira to do is basically build DeFi applications that service that entire Cosmos ecosystem. And so to get back to the story, Terra collapsed, Kujira had to reinvent themselves, and they were able to rapidly, in the matter of a couple months, launch their new layer 1 and start rebuilding a lot of their projects that they had on Terra. And you can see here, I'm not going to go through every item in their roadmap, but they've added a lot of different products. And when you're looking at a project, you really want to see this sort of continuous development. And so in a minute, we'll talk about some of the other things you can do on Kujira specifically, but basically what they're aiming to do is two things. First is, like I mentioned before, they're doing this blockchain for real yield concept. So they're building applications with the idea that they are actually generating fees, and those fees are going back to stakers. So rather than you being rewarded with inflation, or rather than participants needing to be rewarded with inflationary incentives, they're actually trying to build a sustainable ecosystem that's driven by real activity and usage. And the second thing that they're doing is Kujira means whale. And so what they're doing is they're building tools that would normally only be available to whales and making them available to anyone. And again, we're going to talk about this in a second, but one of their applications, and I would consider it their flagship application, although they have others, is this application known as Orca. And basically that democratizes access to liquidations. So you as a normal participant in the market can actually bid on liquidations for other people who are leveraging up. And normally that sort of action might not be available to the average person. But that's what Kujira is in a nutshell. How do you get started with it? Well, to start, you are going to need a wallet that's compatible with Kujira. If you're using crypto on mobile, they have their own wallet known as Sonar. However, if you're using it on desktop like me, then you can use the Kepler wallet. Kepler wallet is going to be the go-to wallet for most things in the Cosmos ecosystem. And you can download that at kepler.app. That's KEPLR. Or if you're on Google Chrome, it's in the Chrome App Store. Once you have the Kepler wallet, you'll of course need to bridge funds to Kujira. There's this list of bridges here on blue.kujira.network/IBC. And here you have the option to bridge using the IBC, which lets you bridge from other Cosmos ecosystem networks like the Cosmos Hub for some of you, this might be the easiest way to get onto Kujira. Most exchanges have the Atom token, so you could buy Atom, withdraw it to the Cosmos Hub network, and then bridge it over to Kujira. There's also the Axelar bridge, which allows you to bridge from Ethereum as well as other EVM compatible chains. There's the Gravity bridge to bridge also from Ethereum. And then there's Nomic BTC to bridge from Bitcoin. So right here on the blue application on Kujira, you can bridge from Cosmos ecosystem, you can bridge from the Ethereum ecosystem, or you can bridge from BTC. So your bases are pretty much covered for getting onto Kujira. However, if none of those work, or you just want a one-stop shop, when I'm bridging cross-chain, I often use RocketX. So I'll link that down in the description as well. This has 115 different blockchains. So if you're not covered by this, you should be covered by RocketX. All right, so you've made a Kepler wallet, you've bridged some funds to Kujira, you're ready to get started. What can you actually do in this ecosystem? Well, one thing that's cool is, like I said, they're building these DeFi applications that generate real yield. They're democratizing access to tools that normally only whales would have. And it's kind of also an all-in-one DeFi suite. So you have, for example, Orca, which is this application I mentioned before. Really unique. I actually often use this as an example when I talk about unique crypto applications to traditional finance people. Basically, what you can do is you can bid on assets that are being levered up, and if people get liquidated, then you might just get those assets at a discount, right? So that's pretty cool. You can see that they've got a lot of different markets here that you can bid on, things from ETH to DOT to BNB to BTC to AVAX, all kinds of different markets here that you can actually bid on. They have Fin, so this is an on-chain order book. The idea here is that it basically looks and feels like a centralized exchange. However, it's actually an on-chain DEX. So if you look at Fin, then you can see here it looks pretty much identical to a centralized exchange, except that it's all on-chain. And some of the examples of pairings they have here, they have ETH, they have Atom, they have BTC, they have Pax Gold, they have some other smaller tokens, and then they of course have Kujira's KUJI token. If you look at the all tokens, they actually have many other tokens as well. Although some of these are going to have better liquidity than others, but they have a whole lot of tokens on here. Next application they have is known as Bo. And this is really interesting. Basically, this accomplishes two purposes. First purpose is that it increases the liquidity on their Fin decentralized order book style exchange. And it also allows you to earn more yield on your tokens. So if you click on Earn on Bo, then you'll get a bit more information about how they optimize trading pairs on Fin. Again, fitting with their mantra of democratizing access to tools that normally only whales might have. This basically allows you to act as a market maker. And one thing I'll note is that automated market makers in crypto that allow anyone to act as a market maker are one of the hallmarks and major benefits of DeFi. However, I think where this stands out is that it allows you to act as a market maker while contributing to liquidity on an order book style exchange. So if we get started, then you can look at the liquidity pools here, and a lot of them actually have very good APR right now. For example, KUJI Atom is 48.75%. ETH USK is the stablecoin of the KUJI ecosystem, is 15%. Atom USK is 56.56%. I mean, these are some very nice yields. And then if you just go down, you can see that there's a lot of really good yields on a lot of these different pools. Now, one thing, I always say this, but some of you may be new to the channel in this video. Generally speaking, not a good idea to go into a pool just because it has high yield if you don't already hold the tokens in that pool. And what I mean by that is if you already hold KUJI and you already hold Atom and you want to earn yield on it, this could be a great option. But if you don't hold KUJI or Atom and you aren't bullish on those assets, then it doesn't really make sense to chase this yield because you don't know how long the yield's going to last for, and you're exposing yourself to price risk of the tokens. So make sure you actually want to hold these assets that you have in the pool. But if you are, phenomenal yield. Next application they have here is Ghost, Kujira's money market. So again, we've got We've got the liquidity pools. We've got the liquidating assets, which is really unique. We've got the order book exchange. Now we also have a money market known as ghost.kujira.network. And so to look at this, for example, you can deposit numbers of collateral, lots of different tokens in the Kujira ecosystem, the Cosmos ecosystem, as well as some from outside the Cosmos ecosystem, like ARB, like AVAX, like Wrap BTC, like PaxG. If you hold tokenized gold, you can deposit that here. And then you can, from here, borrow a smaller subset of assets like stablecoins, ETH, etc. So pretty cool money market. And then they have their pilot. This pilot is the launchpad. So again, it's kind of an all-in-one DeFi suite. This is going to be for new tokens that are launching on the Kujira network. And you can see there's none active right now, but in the past we had this Wink token and we had this BFIT token. And then some final things I'm going to look at. Finder is the blockchain explorer, but then you have KUJI Blue, which I showed you at the start when we looked at Bridge. This is kind of your dashboard for managing your KUJI. You can stake your KUJI, you can bridge to it, you can swap, and then also what you can do here is you can actually mint USK. So you can deposit funds like ARB, Atom, etc., and you can mint new USK if rather than borrowing it, you want to actually mint new ones to arbitrage a peg. And one thing I want to highlight here is that the inflation rate is actually 0% on KUJI right now. However, despite that, they have yield currently running at just over 6% APR. And the way they do that is that all of these applications I showed you a second ago, they're all generating fees in some form, and then those fees are accumulating back to KUJI stakers. So they're generating $2 million in revenue and then passing that back on to people who are staking in the ecosystem. So pretty powerful. All right, so now that we understand what KUJI is, what has the recent price action been like, and what are the tokenomics of the KUJI token? So to start, it's been up a lot. And I wish I had gotten this video out when I originally planned to. I'm doing this video because I actually did a poll on Twitter of which new DeFi ecosystem I should cover. KUJI won, and that was 2 weeks ago. So my bad, guys. I didn't expect it to take off so quickly. But yeah, it's up a lot. Market cap right now is around 344 million with a fully diluted valuation of $360 million. And even though the inflation rate is 0, there are still some tokens that are locked for various contributors to the ecosystem. So that's the basic tokenomics of it. You can see vast majority of the supply is in circulation, around 117 million KUJI tokens out of the 122 million that'll eventually be in circulation. And right now, in terms of market cap, it's currently ranked 125. So it's grown a lot. However, as far as layer ones, it's still very much in the mid tier of layer ones, meaning that there's lots of layer ones that are significantly larger. So maybe not the ideal time to buy, in truth, given that it's run up so much without really any major dips. However, it's crypto. You never know. There is certainly room for this to grow still. Other thing with tokenomics, again, to reiterate, that I thought was really interesting is that it has non-inflationary yield, which is pretty rare for a layer 1 token. So I think that's pretty cool, and that is part of the reason why it's attracting so much attention and so many investors recently. All right, now let's talk about some opportunities and risks for Kujira. To start with the opportunities, the on-chain stats for this are just incredible. If we look at the total value locked on the network, it's grown from around $2 to $3 million from a year ago to now over $70 million. And part of that is driven by the KUJI price increase. However, the vast majority of that is actually not driven by the KUJI price increase, because even though it's up, it is not up this much, right? It's not up 35x. So just incredible on-chain growth, incredible traction for the DeFi ecosystem. Another opportunity that I see is that it's not actually listed on any major exchanges yet. If we look at the top markets on KuCoin, they're all decentralized exchanges. Most of them are on the Kujira network itself, most of the volume. And so if it were to get launched, if it were to get listed on major exchanges, then you could see a ton of new liquidity still flow into the token and ecosystem. Final opportunity I see is that they've positioned themselves really well as a builder of DeFi applications for the Cosmos ecosystem. If more of these chains continue to grow, if more of them continue to launch and gain traction, then I think Kujira, given its position building infrastructure for those, would benefit tremendously from those network effects. All right, now what about the risks? Well, the first risk is actually the inverse of the last opportunity I said, because although Kujira is also offering tools that service the BTC and Ethereum ecosystem, it's not totally tied to Cosmos. A very large percentage of the liquidity in the Kujira network right now is related in some form to the Cosmos ecosystem. So if the Cosmos ecosystem were to stagnate for some reason or underperform, I think that that would be a hindrance on Kujira's future performance. Another reason is that although Kujira is building a lot of unique applications, there are other competitors to be the DeFi hub for Cosmos. You have strong teams on Osmosis and Injective, for example, also building DeFi applications on the Cosmos network. And so although Kujira offers something unique, you always have to consider the competitive landscape with any of these projects. If you want to keep on top of more on-chain analysis and trends, I have a weekly newsletter that I publish, dynamodefi.substack.com, link in the description. And here I publish interesting trends like this Kujira chart on a weekly basis every Monday, delivered straight to your inbox. And that's the summary of what you need to know about the Kujira ecosystem. If you want more videos like this, be sure to like and subscribe. And until next time, this is Dynamo DeFi.